Hello, America. It's me, your angry faggot. And I've been writing in my little journal, and I wanted to share with you what I've come up with this week. I've come up with the top 5 reasons why I love Republicans. Yes, I said it. Love. Alright, let's get started, shall we? Reason number 5. Reason number 5 is their ignorance. And now I am not talking about the ones in power who use the populace's ignorance to entertain me, or the news on Fox who use the news to, instead of educate the ignorant, manipulate them. I'm talking about the Republican on the ground, the Joe Six-Pack plumber who's not really a plumber, that Republican. I just think it is so fucking adorable the way that they parrot everything the GOP wants them to say, and they do it in a way that makes it sound like they almost thought of it themselves. Oh, it's so cute. Big government's bad. They took our jobs. We don't need unions. The corporations will take care of the workers, won't they? Healthcare is a privilege, not a right. Oh God, it is so cute, and I would give them all a cracker if I could, but I can't, so I won't. Number 4. The number 4 reason I love Republicans is their revisionist history. You see, the Boston Tea Party was an amazing act of domestic terrorism aimed at stopping taxation without representation. However, these douchebags are represented. They're just big babies stomping their feet on street corners and crying, "Well, we lost our toy," meaning the last election. "Well, we don't want to pay taxes. Well, who's going to fix the pothole in front of my house? Well." Idiots. Oh, I love them. Oh. I wish they would stop besmirching the name of a really great event in American history, however. Now, I have to say, their total lack of understanding of anything that occurred before last Tuesday gets me down. And just a side note, this Tea Party group has already split into factions that are using big government's court system to sue one another over who has the right to use the name Tea Party. Wow, they're sticking to your guns. Big government bad. I myself have begun a collection for a legal representation of Miss Sally Walker. You see, little Miss Sally Walker has been using the name Tea Party along with her good friends Snuggle Bear and Boo Boo Bunny for the past 8 years. And she's growing into adulthood and wanting to realize her American dream. And she sees these people have stolen her name. So she knows that her American dream is to clog the court system with frivolous litigation in hopes of achieving notoriety and a shitload of money. So please, give all you can to help her achieve the American dream. Number 3. Their hypocrisy. Larry Craig and Ted Haggard played right-wing Republican religious conservatives on TV. They told their constituents and followers that homosexuals were sick, sad, lesser people than themselves, and in no way deserved the basic human right of marriage. These homosexuals don't deserve that. What they deserve is to get fucked up the ass by strangers in dirty bathroom stalls, or pay male prostitutes to get them jacked up on crystal meth and fist them up the ass. Oh my God, to think that these two pious douchebags would cleanse the public's way to learn about anal delights. I mean, until these two came along, I thought Ann Coulter was the only Republican who took it up the ass. When I think of the millions of dollars that the right-wing Christian kill a faggot for Christ groups gave these people, I am positively dizzy with excitement. And I remember when this story broke, I turned to my husband Fernando and I said, the number 2 reason. Oh my God, I have 2 number 3s. You know, this is just how angry of a faggot I am, America. Alright. Number 3 again. I guess I couldn't decide. It's their fear-mongering. Yes, their fear-mongering. Fear is contagious, and I love a good scare. Sometimes I would come home at night and I would just pop some popcorn, turn down the lights, and I would put on Fox News. And I can tell you this, if I had not shit myself with fear in 37 minutes, they were having an off night. I especially loved it when Karl Rove was on. What a scary little troll that man is. He's kind of like what Chucky wanted to be when he grew up, right? Oh, I remember when he didn't like the politician speaking out against the Bush's war. So he released that politician's undercover CIA agent's wife's name to the entire world, criminals included. Scary little Chucky indeed, right? But you know, I can't watch Fox as much as I used to. It just takes too long to unbarricade the door in the morning when I get up. And I can't really get a lot of sleep as I sit there clutching a frying pan in a death grip as I wait for Obama's socialist, fascist, communist minions to come and take my guns and my money. And you know, the fucked up thing is, I don't have any guns or money. I guess they're really doing their job, aren't they? Oh, I love a good scare. Speaking of scary, the number 2 thing that I love about Republicans, Ronald Wilson Reagan. They're Jesus. Let's not even notice the fact that all 3 of his names have 6 letters in them. Yeah. They called this man the great humanitarian. They called him the great communicator. Now, Ronald Wilson Reagan was president from 1980 to 1988. And during those 8 years, he never once said the word AIDS publicly. Wow, how's that for communication, huh? How's that for humanitarian? The great communicator, which in itself is a little bit of Orwellian seepage. I mean, this great communicator gave the people something. He gave his people something. Something that is so important. It's the holy grail of phrases. 3 little words he taught them to save them. And it's worked. For you Republicans who have short-term memory, you see, Ronald Reagan was so upset that he inherited an administration with no war, that he couldn't kill commies and dance in their blood, that he decided he had to fight a secret war. So he decided to latch on to the freedom fighters in Nicaragua and Salvador. You see, why is it that Republicans, when they speak of someone who gave up all their worldly possession to fight for the poor and the disenfranchised, they call them a terrorist? But when they pay someone to murder women and children for capitalism, they're called freedom fighters. Think about it. Freedom. So Ronald decided that secretly he would sell arms to Iran for the money, and then he would funnel that money into the freedom fighters in Nicaragua and El Salvador. Now, that was illegal, that was unconstitutional, but when he was put up on the stand and asked about his knowledge or involvement in this, his most beloved response was 3 little words. He'd cock his head and say, "I don't recall. I don't recall." How fucking perfect is that? You see, until they can prove you were there, you weren't there. George Orwell is so proud. I mean, and ever since, that's all they've used. You've heard it. You've heard it. Every single Republican that's got caught with his pants down, his hand in the pot, I don't recall. The best time I've heard it used recently was Condi Rice. The reporter came up to her with her itinerary and said, "You know what, Condoleezza, I see that you were at this meeting where the Intelligence Committee told you that there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and that Osama bin Laden was in Afghanistan, and that we should stay there and find him. Now it says here you were at that meeting. Were you at that meeting?" I bet you can guess what she said. You know what? What did she say? "I don't recall." Oh Lord, Ronald Reagan, he released the insane from our public hospitals. He deregulated everything and opened up the door for wild, mad greed. He He said, if there's anybody going to bed hungry in America tonight, it's because they're on a diet. Oh, the humanitarian. Ronald Wilson Reagan. Number 2. And the number one reason I love Republicans, it's the golden path which they provide. Yes, it is a golden path, America. You see, if you listen to the dogma of the GOP shouted until you understand what it is they're exactly saying, and you do exactly the opposite, wow, you will be more Christ-like. You will be closer to Buddhahood. If you use the Republican ideology and do the polar opposite, you will, without any extra effort on your part, and let's face it, that is the American way, you will become a decent human being. And for that blueprint, I thank them. And I thank you, America. This is the Angry Faggot. I'll see you next week.